You know that moment where you suddenly realize you've been switching between the same three apps for almost an hour, not even enjoying any of it anymore, just interrupting yourself before you have to go back to whatever you've been avoiding. You did this earlier today, probably yesterday too. Part of you already knew there was something else you were avoiding. You told yourself, just 5 minutes. You already knew that was a lie. Then suddenly, it's almost an hour later. You barely remember anything you watched, but somehow you still stayed. That's the strange part. Some people aren't even enjoying the distraction anymore. You can see it happen in real time. Opening one app, switching to another, restarting the same video because your attention drifted halfway through it, walking into the kitchen with your phone in your hand, then forgetting why you even walked in there. Then there's that moment. Halfway through scrolling, you catch yourself. What am I even doing right now? You feel it for maybe 2 seconds, then your thumb moves again anyway, almost before you consciously decide to. That's the part people avoid admitting. You're watching yourself ignore yourself in real time. Once you notice that pattern, it gets difficult to unsee, because eventually you realize the distraction isn't even working anymore. The thing underneath it is still there, the unfinished task, the message you keep avoiding, the part of your life getting harder to ignore every time things get quiet. Part of you already knows that. That's why the escape gets faster. Open another app, switch tabs, check something else. Anything to interrupt the feeling before it fully lands. And that's when the pattern starts getting dangerous. Because after a while, you stop consciously deciding to escape. Your brain just does it automatically now. The discomfort shows up, and your attention immediately runs somewhere else before the thought fully forms. After enough repetition, the behavior starts happening before the decision does. Not just with phones, with effort, conversations, creativity, anything that might expose you to uncertainty. That realization bothers people once they fully see it, because part of you starts wondering how many decisions you actually made consciously today. So some people keep leaning further into the distraction, more scrolling, more noise, more stimulation filling every quiet second because silence started feeling too revealing. Other people slowly start catching the pattern earlier instead, leaving the phone in another room for a while, sitting with unfinished thoughts a little longer before escaping them, taking walks without immediately reaching for stimulation every 30 seconds. Neither response looks dramatic, but over time, they shape completely different people. You're not always distracting yourself because you're entertained. Sometimes your mind already knows where the silence is about to go. Then you start noticing how quickly your brain negotiates with discomfort. Not huge discomfort either. Tiny things. Opening the document and suddenly feeling the urge to clean your room first. Replying to easier messages while avoiding the one conversation you actually need to have. Watching videos about changing your life while the thing you need to do sits untouched 2 tabs away. That's the strange part. A lot of people still believe they're making rational decisions in those moments. But if you really pay attention, your brain usually starts looking for relief before you even consciously decide to avoid something. You can feel the shift happen. The second effort becomes emotionally real. Your attention starts searching for exits. Check notifications, walk to the kitchen, play another song. Research a little longer. Wait until you feel ready. And high agency men feel this part immediately. Because deep down, a lot of them already know the issue isn't intelligence, it's hesitation. It's watching yourself delay things you genuinely care about, then trying to act unaffected afterward. That disconnect wears people down quietly, especially at night. Laptop still open, videos still playing in the background. That restless feeling in your chest when you realize another day disappeared into avoidance disguised as taking a break. Not guilt exactly, something heavier than that. More like watching your own standards slowly collapse in real time. So one response becomes constant optimization. New routines, new systems, new productivity videos, rebuilding the plan over and over again instead of confronting the discomfort directly. Other people start responding differently instead. Smaller actions, messier actions. Letting themselves move before they feel fully confident. Allowing discomfort to exist without immediately escaping it. Because eventually people realize something uncomfortable. The problem was never information. Most people already know what they need to do. What they're avoiding is the emotional exposure that comes with doing it consistently. A lot of people don't actually fear failure. They fear seeing themselves try hard at something and still feel uncertain. And after a while, avoidance starts changing the way you see yourself. That's when it gets deeper than distraction. You stop trusting your own promises. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it tonight. I just need to focus. Then tomorrow comes, and part of you already expects yourself not to follow through. That shift is hard to explain until you feel it happening. You stop seeing yourself as somebody who acts. You start seeing yourself as somebody who delays, somebody who circles things, thinks about things, prepares endlessly for things, but rarely fully commits, and that identity gets reinforced quietly. Every unfinished task, every avoided conversation, every moment you interrupt your own thoughts before they fully surface. After enough repetition, hesitation stops feeling temporary, it starts feeling like your personality. You stop introducing yourself to yourself as somebody who acts. You start expecting delay before you even begin. And eventually, that expectation follows you everywhere. You hesitate before sending the message, before starting the project, before saying what you actually think, before fully committing to anything that might expose you emotionally. Not because you're incapable, because your brain got too used to retreating before discomfort fully lands. And once that pattern becomes automatic, you can spend years convincing yourself you're thinking about changing, while your actual life barely moves at all.